Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, I wanted to make a video talking about my weight loss journey because it was a very long journey. Um, I've mentioned in some previous videos that at my heaviest I was about 275 to 280 pounds depending on the scale I was on. And that's really when I hit rock bottom with my health, and I just knew I needed to turn things around. I got on the scale and just looked down and asked myself, what the hell am I doing with myself? This is ridiculous. And I really did want to change my life. I was sick of having excessive amounts of fat on my body. It was hindering my job at the time. I was a lifeguard. It was getting in the way of my range of motion. It was hard for me to stretch, and it was just uncomfortable, especially in the summer months and the hotter months. Just having all this extra weight to lug around in the heat. I fell in love with air conditioning when I was overweight. It made things much more difficult than they needed to be. And right around that time, something really led me to become interested in getting back on my bicycle, and I became fascinated with cycling. I believe it was due to the fact that my dad gave me a book, a Lance Armstrong book to read. I had a fever at the time, and my dad came home with this book and gave it to me, and I read it when I was sick. And by the time I had got over my fever, and once I got through being sick, I finished the book, and I decided once I got better that I was going to get a bike, and I was led to get a single-speed Redline monocog 29er. Had big 29-inch wheels on it. I believe that's what it was called. And I had a car at the time. But every day my friends and I would get together at my friend Daniel's house, and he lived within riding distance. It was like a 25-minute ride to his house. So I said, I'm not going to ride the car anymore. I'm just going to start riding my bike to his house every day and every weekend, because we were there at least like 4 to 6 days a week for like 3 months straight, kicking it with all the homies at his house. So I made a commitment to doing that, and I started riding my bike to his house. Now, at the time, I was still a heavy meat eater. I ate a lot of chicken. I ate a lot of pork, especially pork. I mean, that was my favorite meat. Carnitas, you name it. Shredded pork. Back then, that was my thing. But I decided this was going to be the one thing I'm going to change about my life. That book really did inspire me. So I started riding my bike back and forth to his house. So pretty much at least 4 to 6 days a week I was riding about an hour in total. And after about 25 days I saw massive improvements. People at work were noticing. What I did notice was that, or what I do notice with people who are fairly overweight, is when they start exercising, especially biking, the weight starts to come off very quick. And as you continue to lose weight, once you get down to a more manageable size, the weight starts coming off slower. The weight around the abdominals is usually the hardest and last thing to come off. It's the hardest fat to shed, is what I'm getting at. But, I mean, the first 30 pounds melted off me like butter. And, man, the enthusiasm that I got from losing that weight, and the response I was feeling within my own physiology, my own body, and the reactions that people were giving me at work, my family, it was just very positive. And those things coupled together motivated me to continue cycling. I think I lost between 25 and 35 pounds within the first 45 to 50 days of just riding my bike, about an hour a day. And it wasn't like this was some big uphill bike ride. This was just a typical commute back and forth between a friend's house. And It was crazy when I just started out getting on that bike. Again, it only had one speed. You couldn't change gears or anything. It was crazy how hard it was to get back and forth to his house and back, even though it really wasn't that difficult of a bike ride. I was just very out of shape. But as I kept doing it, I started becoming obsessed with climbing up hills. So I eventually, after a few weeks, decided to change the route up, and okay, I'll go the long way home this time, or I'll take the long way to his house. And I started going up hills. My body started craving it massively. I noticed that when I exercised intensely, my body got a natural high that was very pleasurable. It uplifted my mood. It elevated my consciousness. It made me feel grounded. It made me feel like I was doing something right. And those things really did, motivate me to continue on the bike. And I fell in love with cycling. I still am to this day, even though I haven't done as much as I should be doing. But, eventually I decided, all right, I'm sick of this bike. It was a great entry-level bike. I lost a ton of weight on it, but I want to get something nicer. So I ended up spending about $1,600 to $1,800 on a carbon fiber specialized Roubaix. I think that bike had 30 speeds. I could be wrong, but I mean, this thing was awesome. It had clip-in pedals. The body was carbon fiber. Had a really aerodynamic look to it. Had an awesome flat seat. It took me a while to get used to the shifters and road bikes compared to a mountain bike, which is what the Redline monocog is kind of built off. That it's a mountain bike style frame without the gears. But it took a while to get used to the new handlebars and again shifting gears. I ate shit so many times on my Specialized. Getting used to the clip-ins, because when you're clipped into a bike like a road bike, you're literally locked into it. Your feet clip into a pedal and you have to turn your foot at a 45-degree angle to unpedal. It does take some getting used to. But I really beat the shit out of that bike. I climbed it up so many hills, and I lost so much weight. Within 1 year period, I went from within 1 year, a little over a year, I went from 275 to 280 down to about 200, 195 to 200. And at that point, my entire life had changed. I felt so much better. And that's really when I started getting into a plant-based diet and vegetarianism. And once I added vegetarianism to my lifestyle, my entire cycling fascination changed. Just good stuff, really, really good stuff. But I didn't really want to talk about diet so much in this video. I just wanted to talk about the many health benefits of riding a bicycle. Again, you guys, if you're having trouble losing weight, if you hate going to the gym and walking on the damn, what are those things called? Treadmills. If you hate running, I recommend that you get yourself a bike, preferably with more than one speed, and you just get an iPod or some type of MP3 player with some good quality headphones, and load that bad boy up with some motivational music, and just start riding it. Start riding 20 minutes a day. Just start with that. But don't just lollygag around your town and go up and down the street. Try to get your heart rate up for at least 5 minutes. Even if you do lollygag, you'll get your heart rate up a little bit. But the key to losing weight is to increase circulation. Just get your heart rate up. And there's so many benefits of increasing circulation throughout the body. But again, weight loss is a mystery to many people because they're not doing exercise that they love. And if you don't love the exercise that you're doing, what's the point of doing it? That's just stress. And stress is something that you don't need. You already have enough stress in this crazy fucking world that we live in that I like to call the Matrix. So, I mean, if you can find a way to lose weight that's not only enjoyable but actually lifts you up and is spiritually enriching, that's the key, man. And I see many people that are really overweight trying to get into yoga, and they just hate it, man. They hate stretching, and I can understand. I hated it back then too. It's because I had way too much fat on my body. When you have a lot of fat on your body, stretching is not easy. It's not enjoyable. I recommend getting your body back down to a manageable weight before you even approach a serious pursuit of yoga. Stretching is good for you, but to get the most out of it, you're going to want to have a manageable weight. That's just my own personal opinion. And there's so many benefits to losing weight too, you guys. Primarily, all the weight that you hold on to your body, excuse me, all the excessive weight that your body holds on to, I mean, you have to lug that around with you. It's not enjoyable. It puts strain on your back, on your spine, on your organs. Your fat is rubbing up against your the glands in your physiology. It's just much more beneficial to get rid of this stuff, but I do not recommend like getting into this self-hatred thing where people who are overweight look in the mirror and they're always unhappy with themselves, etc. It's all about taking action. But I'm not going to lie, I got to a point where I looked down at the scale and said, okay, 280, I'm not doing this anymore. But I did so within a loving context. I wasn't self-loathing, things of that nature. I just, something clicked, man. All the stars aligned. A book came into my life. That book motivated me to get on a bike, and within 30 days I saw so much improvement that to this day cycling is still my most favored form of exercise other than yoga. Although I do not do much yoga, I need to do more. There are other forms of exercise which I favor massively, like the Taoist internal exercises for stimulating the glands, for stimulating the hormones. They use a lot of self-touch and visualization techniques while you're rubbing your hands over like your liver or your eyes. There's a lot of really neat stuff within Taoism, and I've recommended a particular book on that in the past. I don't have it with me, unfortunately. I don't think I do. But that book is called The Complete System of Self-Healing by Dr. Stephen Chang. That book can be found on Amazon for a penny. I do, as homework, recommend that book to anyone who's seeking better health. And I do, if you have seen my previous videos where I talk about that book, and if you have bought it and utilized it, I'd love to hear back from you guys in the comments section, because I've had tremendous results with that book. That book gave me a lot of hope too when I was going through my alcohol withdrawals and delirium tremens. I did a ton of visualization work and things of that nature to help get me through those frightening, terrifying states of altered consciousness known as delirium tremens and alcohol withdrawals. That is some of the scariest shit you can ever go through. I can't imagine what people who are getting off of heroin must go through after years of using this stuff, or things like methamphetamine, or just these hard drugs, man. You really want to just stay away from these things. Certain things you need to stay away from. Hard drugs are one of those. Drugs in the long run, in my opinion, they're just not worth it at all. I hear people talking about the health benefits of cannabis all the time, also known as marijuana and this and that, but in the long run, I just don't see the value in this stuff. I really favor the idea of approaching life from a sober perspective. At 27 years old, after what I've learned, after what I've been through, that's just how I am at this point, and I really don't feel like my perspective is going to change at all in relation to that. Sobriety, in my opinion, is the key to happiness. So I'm still working through things. I do not use drugs. I don't drink alcohol, but there are certain things in my life that I'm still working through. I have addictions to things that aren't necessarily healthy. We all do. We're all at some certain stage of growth. No one's perfect here in this matrix. That's why you're here. No one's perfect. So, again, I just made a rant. I just posted it about an hour ago about loving yourself, and The first step to approaching exercise to try to get healthy or even getting sober is, is loving yourself. You're not going to want to get sober, and you're not going to have what it takes to get sober or to undertake some serious exercise protocols unless you love yourself. And that's one of the most beautiful things about beginning an exercise program or getting sober. These are all acts of self-love. And acts of self-love come from your heart, and that means that they give back to you. And, they'll give back to you in ways such as having clarity if you're getting sober, or losing weight if you're overweight and you start exercising. Whereas staying on the bottle or staying on drugs, those things don't give back to you. No. They only feel like they give back to you. So, the drugs are it's a con on the consciousness, because you can only achieve those states of consciousness through drug use or alcohol use, you name it. So there's much more beneficial ways of enhancing consciousness and expanding consciousness, such as exercise. Get those endorphins, the feel-good chemicals releasing in your body, and you've got yourself a natural pharmacopoeia within your body that can elevate your mind and make you feel naturally high. But bro, it's like taking a drug, because we couldn't attain those states of consciousness with endorphins unless we exercise, bro. So exercise is like a drug. Yeah, well, it's a salubrious thing. There are quality things that you can get addicted to, and there are things that are not good to get addicted to, like heroin and alcohol, you name it. So I don't mean to keep preaching about drug use, but it is an important thing, because statistics prove that this country is addled and riddled with drug abuse and alcohol abuse. And alcohol is available everywhere, man. It's almost on every street corner in today's matrix. Hell, they even sell it at gas stations. The place where you're supposed to go fill your vehicle up and be a responsible driver, they sell alcohol, and DUIs are a very real thing. So why are they selling alcohol at the place that you fill your car up with gas? That to me just makes no sense at all. There are so many things in this crazy world that blow my mind, and I really don't think many people second guess these things. I think many people think, oh, it's great, man, I'm at the gas station, I'll get some tall boys or this and that. It's not setting a good example, in my opinion, and it's proof that we live in a hellish environment. So crazy world. I have a jug here with 2 pieces of clear quartz and 2 pieces of Kishu Binchoten activated charcoal in there to, I'll fill this jug up. Preferably I use glass. All my glass gallon jugs are broken right now. But, I keep the charcoal in there, and I'll put filtered water in this jug and let it sit overnight with the cap off so the chlorine can evaporate out, etc. And then I'll drink that throughout the day. Right now I'm drinking about a half a gallon of water a day. So people keep asking me where they can get quality clear quartz chunks. You can go to my website at You can go to my website at www.sacredserpent.webs.com and pick yourself up some pieces of clear quartz from my website, or you can go on the internet and buy them. Do whatever you want. Just throwing that out there for people who are interested in supporting my channel and supporting my cause. I will have more products available in the near future, but for now I just have a very basic website layout with a few different things for sale and a little bit of extra information and some important videos that you can watch, some documentaries that are on the home page of my website. So I do recommend, if you're interested in this channel, if you've benefited from watching this channel, go over to my website and just take a look around at the things that I've posted on there and some of the things that I've written about on that website. But I also get questions about internet consultations, phone consultations. That is something that I'm considering. Right now I don't have enough time to be doing that, and to be honest, that's not something that I really feel like doing right now. I do not like cell phones. I don't really even like computers that much, but this is the only platform I have right now for getting my message out into the world. So you know, I'm not against electronics, but I do think electronics are being used a little too much in this crazy world. We spend more time saturated in electromagnetic pollution and around electronics, TV screens, computers, cables, electrical wires. We spend more time in the artificial electronic world than we do in the natural world known as nature. So I do hope that this message, I do hope that my channel can help inspire you to get back into nature and to spend more time in nature and do things like walk barefoot on the earth, touch trees when you're grounded to the earth. For those who don't know what grounding is, it's when you take your shoes off and you walk on the dirt, or you just go on a walk in the grass, you go for a barefoot hike. There's so many different things that you can do to help raise your tune, so to speak. I'm not trying to get too new agey here, but I've been grounding myself for years. I mean, there were periods where I would ground myself upwards of 4 hours a day. So I do believe in the power of grounding. You know, a lot of people think that this is just some hippie movement thing to walk barefoot. I mean, it's amazing the type of flack I get from people because I wear no shoes when I go hiking. People look at you like you're crazy, or you don't have enough money to buy shoes, bro. Do you need help? Come on, dude. That's how desensitized we are living here in this matrix, where people think you're odd because you choose not to wear shoes. And to me, the con of shoes is the fact that there's a rubber sole between your foot and the earth. And I do believe that that name, sole, was deliberately given to the shoe because it's keeping your electromagnetics from being able to communicate with the earth, because walking on the earth is a form of communicating with the earth. And it just happens to be called a shoe sole. And once we realize that the nutritive elements, the electrolytes from the earth, feed and nourish the soul, I think you can put 2 and 2 together. So, I've got a ton of lemons right now. A ton of lemons. Well, I had more. I have about 15 to 20 left. I've been doing the lemon baking soda water every day for about the last 4 to 5 days. I do like using that. I don't use it as much as I used to. I used to use that quite heavily. I know many people, however, who have been drinking that potion for over a year every day, and they're doing great. So I have a tendency to use certain things for prolonged periods and then stop, and then get back on them. And I do like doing that because when you stop, you can really feel how you feel without the particular herb or this and that, things like baking soda, so that when you do start using them again, you can feel how it affects your physiology, and you can gauge whether it's a salubrious reaction or an insalubrious reaction, because some people react to herbs differently than other people. And there's something else I wanted to touch upon that's very important, and I do need to make a video on this. Tongue-tied again. I need to make a video on this, a separate video just touching upon this. Need a sip of water first. Mouth's drying out. You have to approach herbalism in a gingerly, careful, meticulous fashion, because unfortunately, there are a handful of prescription medications which react negatively with certain herbs. Things like schisandra berries or even hibiscus. So you need to, if you take prescription medications, talk to your doctor and just be smart. You don't want to be combining things that are dangerous, and that's always been kind of a one of the motivating reasons why I favor herbalism and natural healing over Western medicine. It's because to me it's like you kind of have to pick one or the other, because the two don't really seem to mix well at all. That's just my own personal opinion. I'm talking from my own personal experience, my own personal standpoint. So, you know, I wish I would have brought this up at the beginning of the video, because I don't know if many people even get this far into the video, because these videos are long-winded. Many people only have time for 3 to 5 minute rants, so I will make a separate video on that. But if you have made it this far in this video, ask yourself if you are taking any medications. You know the answer to that. And if you are pursuing herbalism, if you are pursuing natural healing, talk to your physician, do some research on the internet, and just be safe. That's the smart way to do things, being safe. There's also certain reactions that can take place mixing alcohol with certain herbs and that. And that's why at this point I just can't stand alcohol. I'm so sick of it. When I see people drinking around me, I just see reflections of my old self, and it just drives me crazy that I ever allowed myself to become saturated in this kind of cultural possession of alcoholism. I mean, there's a reason, in my opinion, why distilled alcohol is referred to as spirits. So wine and spirits. It does appear that when people get drunk, they become possessed by spirits because their attitude completely changes. They'll become either very merry and happy, or sometimes they'll become very depressed. Some people lose all judgment and kill people, get behind the wheel and kill people or murder people. Some people, like myself, would become enraged and have what's known as alcohol rages. You become a raging alcoholic and get violent. I can't tell you how many fights I got into when I was an alcoholic. I mean, Jesus Christ. This is some stupid shit, and it's due to the fact that people change so much when they're drunk that makes me believe that there is some type of spiritual possession going on when people do consume spirits. If you're consuming spirits, I think you can put two and two together. But again, when I see people drinking around me, or if I meet with family members and I see it taking place around me, it drives me kind of crazy. I've learned how to manage it. I've learned how to put up with it and stay level-headed. But I mean, most of the people that I know who drink, they can keep their shit together. You know, they don't become like me and just go completely out of control and drink an entire fifth of whiskey or this and that. So all the power to people who can keep their drinking under control. You know, just a random rant, just doing some ranting. It's 2:30 in the morning right now. I have the house to myself. So just a little rant. I have some Highlands Bioplasma tissue